Hello, dear children and grandchildren. I have a toolbox here full of odds and ends of products that you might be able to use around the house to do certain repairs. Let's take a look inside. Now, this is a very interesting product. This is called JB Weld. Now, can you see there's actually two tubes here. Two tubes. It takes two tubes of the material in each one of the tubes in order to make this work. And the instructions are very specific on how to use it. And they're on the back. And they are very specific. And it says on the front that it's very easy to use. And it is. It is very easy. But you must follow the instructions correctly. What you do, I'm not going to take these out of here, because I will use this, and it has never been opened before or used before. You take the tubes out of here, and they have a cap on them. They have a cap on them down, and you take the cap off, and there's a seal inside, and you poke a hole in the seal so that the material will come out. Depending on how much you use of the material, you use equal parts of each one. Now, what would you use it for? There are a great long list of materials that you can use this for, and some are on the back and some are listed here, and it says you can use them for household repairs, automotive repairs, plumbing repairs, marine repairs, and much more, and all kinds of crafts. This is not a temporary repair. Once you repair something with this, it is permanent. It is so strong that if you have to remove it, you must cut it away. It is almost as strong as metal. Here is one example of something you can use it for, of plumbing. Let's say that you had a water pipe and it developed a leak around a joint where it, let's say, fastened onto another piece of water pipe, and it was leaking. You would take the pipe apart, you would mix up a small portion of these two materials, and you would put it on there and put it back together again. Once you have done that, it is extremely hard to ever take it apart again. It is a permanent repair. It is so good as a repair that automotive people have actually repaired engines with it. And the repair has lasted a long time. The kind of engine repair that they have done is actually a crack in the block of the engine, and they've actually repaired it. Now let's think about something else. Let's say that you have a metal container, and you wanted to keep, let's say it was a container for filling with oil that you could then dispense the oil on other things, and you wanted to keep this application container. You could repair it with this, and it would repair it forever. Let's see. It says marine. Marine. How about if you had a boat and you had a crack in the boat? You could repair it with this, and it would last, and it would not leak. Would not leak. This is a very good material for doing permanent repairs. Now, I'll give you an example of a repair that I made. This was many years ago, but it has lasted all these years. Do you see these glasses I wear? I have several other pairs of glasses, and I had one pair that I really liked to wear when I was working, and I broke an area right here. One of these broke off. I used this material to put it back together again. I still have it in one of my shops, and I still use it today, and it works very well. And that was many years ago that I broke it, and it is still sound and structurally able to be used, and I still use them today. Isn't that interesting? All right. Let's take a look at our next item. Now, before I show you the next item, I'm going to have a little drink. Maybe you'd like to have a little drink too. Now let's look at our next item, okay? This is called duct tape, not duck, like a bird, D-U-C-T, duct. It was originally used to install and repair ducting, heat ducting in houses. And it's tape. And it is very sticky and very strong. And it's very sticky. And it is used, you can use it for all kinds of temporary repairs. Let's say you had a box, okay? Let's say that you had a box and you wanted to use the cardboard box, and it had a tear in it. You could use this to repair the tear. And it's capable of being torn if you tear it the right way. And here we tore a piece off. And we could take this and we could apply this to something that we wanted to do a temporary repair. Okay? Now let me show you something very interesting. You can take this and put it on, like on the toolbox, and see, it's sometimes hard to get it off. And here's the interesting thing. If you get it and you get it up against itself, it's almost impossible to get it apart. So let me see if I can show you an example. I'm going to use this as an example. Let's say that somehow or another you damaged this and it had a hole in it. And you thought, well, I don't want, not all of the stuff is gone, the good stuff inside is gone, and I want to keep it, I want to repair it. How can I do that? I could use some of this tape, and I could put it on there and wrap it around and that would seal the hole. Now, originally, this was used to install and repair ducts, heating ducts in houses where heat was transferred from the furnace to the various rooms in the house. And that's what this was used for. And it is so very strong that even the heat would not deteriorate it in the duct. And just as I have repaired this to prevent where I had some damage to it and the material was leaking out, I was able to repair it with this tape. And you see how I have put that on there? And it is really tight. Okay. All right. let's look at our last item. Some people call this a tape gun. It's not a gun. Some people call it a tape dispenser. And that's what's on here. Can you read that? See, it says tape dispenser. Now I'm going to try to show you how this is used. It is mainly used for the purpose of sealing up packages. This is the roll of tape, and you buy these rolls of tape, and they mount onto this device here, and then the tape is pulled out from here. Now, I want to explain to you, this tape is very sticky. You see it? It is very sticky. And if you pull it out, and then you pull it up, and you go like this, and it cuts it off. There's a little cutter right here, which you must be careful of because it's kind of sharp. Then you want to take the tape, because the next time you want to store it for the next time you're going to use it. So you pull a little bit out, turn it backwards, and put it up there. Stick it up there, and it's ready for the next use. Meanwhile, you have a piece of tape here, and let's say that this package here had a tear in it, and you wanted to keep the package because it has the instructions on it, and it says what it is, and you would want to store the package. You could repair the cut in the package, and you could take a piece of tape, and you could put over top of it, and look at that. It's clear, so you can see through the tape and still read the instructions on the tape. Isn't that a useful kind of tape? It's like if you remember the old-fashioned Scotch tape that you would use to seal up an envelope, or to seal something up, or to hold something up, whatever. They developed this for the very purpose of sealing up boxes that shipped a lot of material in, and they used this to seal up the box, and it is very useful. And because they made a dispenser, a tape dispenser, it makes it very easy to use. This is called Gorilla Mounting Tape. I have used this before, and so I have opened it and I have sealed it back up again using the same kind of tape. And this tape is very strong. That's the reason they call it Gorilla Tape. And it says heavy duty. And in here is this roll of tape. I have found it very useful. And on the back are the instructions. It's called mounting tape, but you can use it for any other product. But the interesting thing is, you can mount things to the wall, and it says it will hold 30 pounds. 30 pounds. So, you take the tape and you unwind it, and then you cut a piece off. So, I will cut a piece off. Now, just so to demonstrate how this is used, I will put it back in here. And see this piece of tape here that I have put on here? I can take this piece of tape that I have used and I can fasten it back on, and it will hold this. It will hold this together. And it is called mounting. So if you were going to, let's say, put a picture on the wall and you wanted it to stay there, you could put a piece of this on the picture and put it onto the wall, and it would hold as much as 30 pounds. That's a lot. You could put a picture on the wall. You could have perhaps a let's say a card that you got, a Christmas card maybe, and you wanted to put it on a door or someplace so that you could look at it for a while. You could use this for that, although it would hold things a lot heavier than that. I actually had a light that was outside that lit up when nighttime came, and it got a crack in it, and it worked fine, but it had a little crack in it. I used this to repair that crack. No water, when it rained, no water would get inside. It worked really well. Now, and this is a use that you wouldn't normally use it for, but temporarily. Let's say you had a window and it had a pane of glass in it, and the glass got a crack in it. You could use this and repair that crack in that window. What other things could you use it for? Here's an interesting thing. And let's say it wasn't something I was going to use, let's say, for every meal, But let's say that I wanted to keep that glass. I could repair it. It's called Gorilla Tape. Well, now we have gone through all of the products, all of them. And I hope I have been able to explain each one and each one of the uses. Hello, dear children and grandchildren. Grandpa has a toolbox full of products that you might be able to use to do repairs around the house. Let's take a look inside. Isn't that a nice green felt? Here's our first item. Gorilla Glue. Isn't that a funny name? Do you see them on there? Now, what is it used for? For instance, you can use it on wood, on stone, on metal, on ceramics, on foam, or on glass. You can use it on almost everything. And there is a very good set of instructions right here on the box to tell you how to use it. And it is very useful on a great variety of things that are around the house. Let's take a look inside, just for quick. It's a nice little plastic bottle with a very nice cap on the top and an applicator. Let's say that you had something very simple, like a cup, a ceramic cup that you had bumped and you had made a crack in it, or you had dropped it and it had a section that broke away, and it's very, let's say it's very important to you. It may not even be used, but it's for display purposes, and you would like to keep it. This can be used to put the piece back together in the coffee cup. Or let's say that you had let's say a little wooden figure, and somehow or another you dropped the figure, the wooden figure, and his head broke off, and you just used it for display, and maybe it had some meaning to you, that someone had maybe given it to you and you wanted to remember that, and you wanted to put his head back on. You could use this to reattach his head. Because it's called Gorilla Glue, it means that it is exceptionally strong, and your repair will last for a long time. Isn't that nice? Isn't that nice to have it? And isn't it funny? Because it's so strong, they call it Gorilla Glue. Let's put it back in the box. Now, once you put it back in the box, notice there's a little hole up here on the box. You can take this and hang this up somewhere so that it would be readily available for you to use, and you don't lose track of it. Let's take a look at our next item. This is called Quicksill. This is Quicksill, and this is used primarily around things that are ceramic and that are subject to having water near them, like around a spigot or around a spout where water comes out. There are many areas that you can use this. And what you do is you take the cap off like this, and this is brand new. It has never been used before, and you take the cap off, and then you cut a little portion off the tip of this so that the material can come out. And you can then take this and you can put this in a nice little bead around the area that you want to seal off. And it works very well. Then you can take your finger, and if you put too much on, you can actually take your finger and you can push it into the crevice that you want to seal off. Now you have it on your finger. But the interesting thing is that when it is new, it is water soluble. Once it has cured, it is not. And you can, with water, you can rinse it off your finger. I have used this around the spigot on a bathtub because water was leaking from the outside on the bathtub through the spigot and into the wall behind the spigot. And this seals it off so that water can't get behind the spigot. It is very useful. When you're done, so that because you don't use the whole tube, you must remember to put the cap back on. Put it back on securely, and it will last a long time. And look at this. See the hole on here? You can hang that up, and it will always be readily available for you to use. Let's take a look at our next item. This is called stickies, and it is for only one purpose. Now, this is only for use on wallpaper. Do you have any wallpaper in your house? Many houses do. It's very nice. But occasionally, where there is a seam in the wallpaper wants to kind of come loose. This is used to put it back down again. And you just take the cap off. And if it's not open, you just cut the end of it off. And then you put this down the seam. And then with your finger, you press the seam down, and it is just like the day the wallpaper was put on. It is properly called Stickies Wallpaper Seam Repair. Wallpaper Seam Repair. I have used this on a couple of instances where seams in the wallpaper, the seam has opened up just a little bit. And to make it like it was originally put on the wall, I put a little bit of this right down the seam, and then I press the seam down, and it dries very quickly, and it is a very good repair. If you have wallpaper, you will find this very useful. And a little hole to hold it up. Let's look at our next item. This is called Mortite. This is used to put along areas that might be leaking air, like around a window that has a little crack where the window and the sill fit together, and you want to seal off that crack so that warm air can't get out and cold air can't get in. Let's see if we can figure out how to get this one open. It is sealed up very well. So just give Grandpa a second. Grandpa has a little penknife. This is a little penknife blade. And there are many other tools in this. Here's a little screwdriver. Here's a different size screwdriver. Here's another little thing with a point on it. Here's another little screwdriver. But we need to use a penknife. And here it is, with a little blade on it. You must be careful with the blade. Inside is this roll. And look at this. Can you see it? Can you see that? Now Grandpa's going to cut a little piece off of this. Now, can you see the little strips here? It may be a little hard for you to see. I'll hold it as close as I can. Can you see that? And it comes apart like this. And then you can take one little strip like that. You see this strip? You push it down and into the crack, and then you push it with your finger, and you push it into that crack, and it seals the crack up. It is very useful, and it can be used on any crack, and it's called Mortite. Do you see it there? Mortite. And you want to take this and you want to put this back into the box. And it will be available then for use at another time. Now remember, you can use this around the window, around the door, or for any other thing where you want to seal up a seam. It is very helpful and very useful, and it lasts a long time. And it is called Mortite. Let's take a look at our next item. This is called Gorilla Mounting Tape. Now, on the back, it has a whole bunch of features that you can use this for. I have used this before, and so I have opened it and I have sealed it back up again using the same kind of tape. And this tape is very strong. That's the reason they call it Gorilla Tape. And it says heavy duty. And in here is this roll of tape. I have found it very useful. And on the back are the instructions. It's called mounting tape, but you can use it for any other product. But the interesting thing is, you can mount things to the wall, and it says it will hold 30 pounds. 30 pounds. So, you take the tape, and you unwind it, and then you cut a piece off. Now, just so to demonstrate how this is used, I will put it back in here. And see this piece of tape here that I have put on here? I can take this piece of tape that I have used and I can fasten it back on, and it will hold this. It will hold this together. And it is called mounting. So if you were going to, let's say, put a picture on the wall and you wanted it to stay there, you could put a piece of this on the picture and put it onto the wall, and it would hold as much as 30 pounds. That's a lot. And now it's ready to be used again at a later date. You could put a picture on the wall. You could have perhaps let's say a card that you got, a Christmas card maybe, and you wanted to put it on a door or someplace so that you could look at it for a while. You could use this for that, although it would hold things a lot heavier than that. I actually had a light that was outside that lit up when nighttime came, and it got a crack in it, and it worked fine, but it had a little crack in it. I used this to repair that crack. No water, when it rained, no water would get inside. It worked really well. Now, and this is a use that you wouldn't normally use it for, but temporarily. Let's say you had a window and it had a pane of glass in it, and the glass got a crack in it. You could use this and repair that crack in that window. what other things could you use it for? Here's an interesting thing. This is my glass that I'm going to have a little drink out of later on. But let's say it got a crack in it. And let's say it wasn't something I was going to use, let's say, for every meal. But let's say that I wanted to keep that glass. I could repair it. It's called Gorilla Tape. I'm going to have a little drink. Maybe you'd like to have a little drink too. Well, we've gone through all the items. I hope you found it interesting. Now, I'm going to pack them up for you.